Hey guys, welcome to my channel. Today we'll be taking a look at the 2024 WR Chess Masters Cup, which has already ended a few days ago. It is won by one of India's strongest grandmasters, Arjun Erigaisi. Arjun won the 2024 WR Chess Masters Cup, which is an over-the-board knockout tournament held in London, England. Let's see some specific details of this tournament. It consists of 16 players. You guys can basically scan their names pretty fast. The most interesting part of this tournament, in my opinion, I think it is the format. The WR Chess Masters Cup is a 16-player single elimination knockout with matches consisting of 2 games. The time control is 60 minutes for the first 30 moves, followed by 30 more minutes for the next 20 moves, and 30 more minutes for the rest of the game. A betting Armageddon game with a base time of 15 minutes resolves all ties. What's interesting is the time control. So the time control actually it's actually really complicated because there are first two games that follow this rule, like 60 minutes for the first 30 moves, then 30 minutes for the next 20 moves, and then 30 minutes for the rest of the game. It's really complicated. Like there are 3 stages in this whole game, the time control. But what happens if these 2 players they drew their first 2 games? Then they'll have to go to the Armageddon game, which has a base time of 15 minutes. So if these 2 players drew their first 2 games, then they will play this Armageddon game. So actually I think in this game the rule is that if black drew the game, black only needs to draw because a draw counts as a draw for black. This is what happened in the game. This is how Arjun basically won this tournament. But before we go into the game, let's first of all take a look at some news. Arjun Erigaisi wins WR Chess Masters Cup but misses out on 2800. This is actually a really interesting title because it says that he won the WR Chess Masters Cup but misses out on 2800. Actually, if I'm not mistaken, before this tournament, Arjun's rating, FIDE rating, is 2796, I believe, just about a few rating points away from reaching 2800. Let's get into some specific details and see what happened. So Grandmaster Arjun Erigaisi defeated Maxime Vachier-Lagrave in Armageddon to win the 2024 WR Chess Masters Cup, picking up the 20,000 arrows top prize and 27.84 FIDE circuit points. The one thing he missed out on was crossing 2800 for the first time after his French opponent, which is Maxime Vachier-Lagrave in this case, thwarted that goal by making 2 draws in the classical games. You can see this is what really happened. Arjun first of all won against Pragnananda, then faces Maxime Vachier-Lagrave. The rest of the article we're not going to read them, but now let's just get into this game. This is the game where Arjun won this tournament. So actually, let's go here. They played 3 games actually. In the first 2 games, it was 2 draws. Then this means that the 2 players need to go to the Armageddon game, and Arjun is black in that game. So it means that he only needs to hold a draw in order to win. If he held the draw, this means that he'll win the tournament. So actually the pressure, most of the pressure is on Maxime Vachier-Lagrave's side. So let's see how he how he did this. E4 was played in the game. Arjun started with e5, knight f3, knight f6, the Petrov's defense, knight takes e5, d6, knight f3, knight e4, d4, d5. Now this transforms into, this is actually the classical attack, the main line, I believe. Here, white goes bishop d3. Actually, I think the main difference is that most of the times, white goes knight f3 and here knight f6. I think here white can also go d4 immediately, and after knight takes knight takes c4, knight takes e5, and then go d5. This is both sides are playing mirror chess. Like they are like putting the pieces on the same squares, like the opposite squares, just like how a mirror works. This is like one of the other variations that can reach this very similar like position. Oh, and actually, just to remind you guys that let's go back to the very start. You can see that the time control is actually like, I believe white has 10 minutes and black has 7 minutes. But that only means that even though black has less time, like black is down 3 minutes already at the beginning of the game, but that means that black only needs to just needs to hold a draw in order to win. Like he can either win the game or draw the game. He has two options. Whereas for white, even though he is up 3 minutes, but he really needs to win. He is in a must-win situation. In this game, it is in a must-win for situation for Maxime, and which means that he needs to go really aggressive. And let's see what happened in the game. So after d4, d5, bishop d3, bishop d6, short castle, this is all fine. Like this is all the main line basically. c4, c6, knight c3, putting pressure on the e4 knight. And here Arjun took on c3. So actually, you can also go, for example, like rook e8 to defend your e4 knight. If you don't really want to trade the knights off, you just want to keep material on the board, you can go rook e8. But actually here, like black situation, Arjun here, he just needs to hold a draw. If he had draw this game, then he'll win the tournament. So just trade more pieces. That is his goal, basically. Just trade more pieces. In the game, b takes c3 and d takes c4, bishop takes c4, bishop f5, bishop g5. Maxime here is actually playing pretty aggressive because he is in a must-win situation. He is developing all of his pieces and right now gaining another tempo by attacking the queen. In the game, queen a5 was played, attacking the c3 pawn. Knight h4 was played. Right now, both sides haven't made any mistakes or inaccuracies yet. This is still like in the opening area where I think both sides knew how to play the lines. Bishop e6 offering another trade, so you can see that Arjun is really trying to exchange as many pieces as he can and just go for a very easy draw. And of course, Maxime will not allow that in the game. Well, actually in the game he hesitates because there's no other options. It's just a forced trade. Bishop takes e6 and queen takes g5. Here, you don't want to take on e6 right away after takes e6 because now your pawn structure will be damaged. This e6 pawn will be a huge weakness. Here, white's best option is to go queen g4 to develop the queen as well as put pressure on the e6 pawn. In this situation, it is also the same color bishop position. So I think this if both sides were to reach this situation, I think white will have more winning chances. But of course, Arjun won't take on e6, and in the game he took on g5, which is the best option. And after knight f3 back attacking the queen, queen goes back to a5 attacking the c3 pawn, bishop h3. And I think already Maxime is kind of struggling in this position. He played an opening which is not that aggressive. And right now it turned into an opposite colored bishop middle game already. This means that his winning chances are going, he doesn't really have, the winning chances are not that high anymore for him. Because opposite colored bishop middle games or end games are always not easy to win, especially when material is even and black is not worse here. I think black is even slightly better here because white has too many weaknesses on the queen side. But anyways, let's see what happened in the game. Queen takes c3, so that is a free pawn. Now black is already up a pawn, but white does have some compensation for the pawn, which is the speed of development. So white is here, of course, much faster in development than black is. Rook b1 attacking the b7 pawn, and here Arjun played b6. Queen e2. The main problem for black is how to develop this knight. Right now, white's queen defends the a6 square, the bishop defends the d7 square, so the knight cannot develop. And this is a problem that black needs to solve. In the game, queen a5 was played, which is an okay move. Trying to go knight a6 on the next move. Desperate, black is here just trying to develop, because if you don't develop the knight, then the rook will be trapped inside on a8. This means that these two pieces, especially these two pieces, will be really passive, and it will give white some chances. of course, Arjun knows how to do. And in the game, d5 was played by Maxime, opening up the center. So you guys should always know that whenever your opponent is slow in development and you have already developed all of your pieces or most of your pieces, it is always a good choice or good option to go for opening, like to open up in the center or go for pawn breaks, because you can use this, like your opponent's passive, the slow development speed to open up more files so that you can activate your own pieces and create some threats on your opponent's king, or threaten those pieces who are those pieces which are still not developed. So I'm not sure if you guys know what I mean. Well, I hope you guys know what I mean. It's just that you just have to know, basically development is really important, and whenever, for example, your opponent is really slow in development and you have already finished your development, you can always look for attacks or pawn breaks just to open up more files, diagonals, to activate your pieces and try to cage these pieces inside. Just stop them from developing. So that is an idea. Maxime is trying to achieve that in this game by giving up a pawn but opening up files. C takes d5 was played. Now you can see that actually black is able to develop the knight on the next move with the knight c6. So what white did here is by playing knight g5. Now if you go knight c6, well, this is actually just completely losing. You guys can actually try and see how white is going to win here, but I'm going to show you guys immediately. This is actually a very easy move to spot. Just look for diagonals, and you can see that queen c2 now is just simply winning because white is threatening mate on h7 as well as attacking the c6 knight at the same time. So this will be winning for white. And of course, Arjun saw that he is not going to fall for a trick like that, and he played h6, kicking the knight away. And here actually Maxime is going way too aggressive. Instead of choosing to go back with the knight or go for something like rook b5, he actually made a very important decision here. Either after this decision, the whole game is going really crazy. He played this knight f7 move, which is actually a brilliant move, but not winning for white, just equalizing the position. After this knight f7 move, the position is then just changing. This means that white is trading, using two minor pieces to trade a rook. So two minor pieces for a rook. This actually, most of the cases, the side who has the two minor pieces left on the board is good. And in this case, black has the two minor pieces, after takes, bishop e6, and this is what I mean. In this situation, black has two minor pieces against white's rook. But the main problem is that black, first of all, the king is really weak. It is open to files and everything, diagonals and everything. And black is also a little bit slow in development. This rook on a8 is not really doing not doing anything yet. But this position, I mean, it is playable, but not a very good, easy position for black to play. And also, oops, why am I reaching the end? Spoiler alert. Let's go back. Anyways, rook f7. In the game, bishop e6 was played. Now, this looks like a really logical move. I mean, just winning the piece back, or winning some material back. I mean, this is just the follow-up idea of knight f7, right? But actually, there's an even better option here. To go either queen e8 or rook b5. Rook b5 is, I think rook b5 is better because it can equalize the position. Other options like queen e8 or bishop e6 are all good for black, actually. Rook b5 in the game, not in the game, but here queen a3 is the best option. Black will maintain a small advantage after queen a3. And the line goes on like this, rook d5. I'm just going to play a few moves on. King h8, running away from this diagonal, and after queen e6, even though white is down in material, just white is down a full knight, but you can now see how important development is. Even though black is up a knight, but is it really up a knight? Because black's knight and as well as the rook are both still on their starting squares. The knight is on b8, the rook is on a8, and how are you going to develop these two pieces? Right now, white is creating a lot of chaos on the king side. You don't have time to develop your pieces. You have to do something on the king side. Well, actually, fortunately, Here black can go rook f6 to save the position. At least here white goes queen e8, and after, for example, like rook f8, this might end in a draw after, for example, queen g6, because black, even though it's up in material, but it's way too slow in development. Black even has some pressure here, so like offering a draw here is actually possible. But of course, in the Armageddon game, white, of course, needs to win, and if white were to reach this position, I'm not sure if white will like it, because there's no clear way for white to win here. But anyways, let's go back. In the game, Maxime didn't saw this line, or probably he thought that this was not good enough for him. He played bishop e6 after thinking for about 1 minute, and after knight d6, finally black is developing his pieces. Bishop takes, king takes, and we reach this position after rook b5. Actually, already in this position, black is having a slight positional advantage. He is actually up 1 pawn, as well as, because like two minor pieces against a rook, they're up 1 point. Like most of the times, 2 minor pieces are better, are more, they're stronger than 1 rook. But sometimes, in some situations, the rook is stronger than these 2 minor pieces. But in this specific situation, just evaluating the position quickly, you can see that these 2 minor pieces are much more active than the rook. Alright, so let's see how Arjun continued this position. In the game, he played queen c3, trying to push the pawn later on. In the game, queen h5 was played, and it is actually a miss. I'm actually not sure why Maxime didn't play rook d5. I mean, this is just a free pawn, so why not take it? This is a free and healthy pawn to take. You take it, there's no tactics here for black. It's just a free pawn. Even though black is still better here after queen f6, defending the bishop and going rook e8, just developing all the pieces. But I think at least taking on d5 will be better than what Maxime played in the game, which is queen h5. This gives black more advantage. In the game, king f8 was played. This is actually a great move. Other moves like king e7 or king e6 are all better for white. Here, if king e6 was played, now rook b3, rook e3 will be really not really destroying black, but black will be in some trouble, definitely. In the game, queen h5 was played, and after king f8, Arjun saw this excellent king move. Rook takes d5, rook d8. Now, actually, this is a mistake made by Arjun. What he should have played is just to go bishop c5, get the bishop to a really solid square, which is protected by the pawn. None of white's pieces can really attack it. There are no pawns which can reach the c5 square. In this position, black should be much better, because the king can now just go to king g8, get out with the rook, put pressure on the f2 pawn, and black should be winning later on after a few moves. But unfortunately, in the game, Arjun, instead of going for bishop c5, he played rook d8, which is a mistake. I mean, just running into this pin, and it's not that easy to get out of it after rook fd1. Knight e7, attacking the rook, and now here, Maxime actually blundered with rook b5. Now, what he should have just played, he should have just played rook 5 d2. Just go back. The rook can defend everything on the second rank, as well as this rook defending the last rank. These two rooks are putting a lot of pressure on the d6 bishop, as well as the rook on d8. This should be a very easy position to hold the draw. But I think, again, Maxime is in a must-win situation, so this is not enough for him. He must go for risky moves. He must try some risky things, or else if he drew this game, it's just losing this game. No difference. So he needs to win. In the game, however, he played rook b5. I guess he just wanted to do something risky. He played rook b5, but unfortunately, actually here, Arjun didn't play the best move. He missed the opportunity to maintain the advantage. The best move here is to go rook c8, but in the game, however, bishop c7 was played, missing the opportunity to maintain the advantage. If you played rook c8 here, going for the c file and probably going rook c5 to trade some pieces off. Of course, you cannot take on d6 because there's back rank mate. So, rook c8. And after, for example, white now has some back rank problems. Let's just say white goes for g3 to open up a window, a path for the king to escape to. Now there's bishop c5. You can see that the rook not only runs away from this annoying pin, but now the bishop is also going to a really active square. And probably later on the king will go to g8, and now after rook f8, putting pressure on the f2 pawn. You can see that also this rook on b5 is not doing anything. And that's why rook b5 is a blunder, because now white needs to go back with the rook, or else the rook is just simply useless on b5. It is being blocked by the bishop as well as the pawn. Yeah. Alright, that is why rook b5 is a blunder, but however, due to probably time shortage, Arjun here played bishop c7. Just to remind you guys, if I'm not mistaken, this time control in the Armageddon game, there's no increment at all. I think no increment at all. So you really have to use your time in a good way. All right, in the game, rook b3 was played, and after takes, trading off a pair of rooks. In this position, if it were in a classical game, I think Maxime will be able to hold the draw, at least hold the draw. But unfortunately, in this situation with no increment at all, anything can happen. Queen e5 was played in the game. Now, this is actually a mistake. It looks pretty reasonable, attacking the h2 pawn, but it is not the best option. The best option here is actually to go queen c5. The queen is much more better here on c5, and probably later on, you'll go bishop e5, something like this. In the game, however, queen e5 was played, but of course, both sides are short on time, so anything can happen. g3, king g8, rook e3 attacking the queen, queen c5, queen b3 check, king h8, queen e6. It looks pretty scary for black because white's pieces are now suddenly really active, and you can see that the knight and the bishop aren't really doing anything. This bishop is suddenly being blocked by these two pawns, so it's not really doing anything. But actually, Arjun found a way to here black still has some advantage, and Arjun found the best way to maintain the advantage. He played knight f5. Rook f3, keep attacking, keep tickling the knight. Knight back to e7, rook f8 check, king h7, queen e4, knight g6, rook e8. Rook e8 is rook e8 is okay, but I think rook c8 will have been a better option. Giving this little pin to the bishop and the queen will be better. Rook e8, bishop e5, rook e6, bishop f6, h4 threatening. Actually not threatening h5 because the queen is looking at it, but threatening g4, h5 ideas. Queen e5, queen f5. You can see that both sides now here, Maxime only has 4 minutes left on the clock, and Arjun only has 2 minutes left on the clock. So they really need to blitz out every move real fast, or else they'll lose on time. If you lose on time in such an important situation, then that will be so unfortunate. In the game, queen f5 was played, and after queen c5, this is a small mistake made by Arjun. With time trouble, anything can happen. Queen c5 is not a big mistake, but it gives white some advantage, positional advantage, because after... Actually, here, white should have taken, should have traded the queens off, Should have just traded the queens off. Oops, wait a second. Wait. Why is my mouse not moving? Wait a second. Oh. Wait, what is happening here? Alright. Now that, sorry, there was a small bug with my mouse, but now it's everything good. Alright, so queen c5. And in the game, however, queen b1 was played, missing the opportunity after queen takes c5, b takes c5, and a rook a6. But after queen b1, now black still, again, maintains the advantage. And after queen d5, rook e1, h5, rook d1, queen e6, queen d3, queen g4. Now, this is actually a miss. Black here, again, has a small advantage. Here, black should have just taken on the a2 pawn. It's a free pawn. It is not a poisonous pawn. You just take it, you're up a pawn, and it should be fine. But in the game, however, queen g4 was played, and after king f1, king h6 up with the king, queen d2, king h7, queen c2, king h6, rook d5. So both sides here are just playing these kind of waiting moves because they don't really have any ideas here, especially when both sides don't really have like good ideas here. All right, in the game, knight e5 was played, blocking this file, like blocking this rank. The rook can't really do anything here, and here white gave a few checks, king h7, queen c2. Of course, here Arjun is actually just going for some repetition because, again, he just needs to hold a draw, and Maxime is in a must-win situation. Maxime, of course, will not allow 3-fold repetition, and in the game, rook d6 was played. But, like, this means that if Maxime... This is like an equalized position. Black is even slightly better, and Maxime is in a must-win situation. This means that he has to go for really risky moves, and these moves might just lead to disasters. These moves must be inaccurate moves, mistakes, or even blunders. But sometimes mistakes or blunders can confuse your opponent, and maybe your opponent will blunder back. But this is not happening in this game. Queen c4, offering a trade of queens, takes, knight takes, rook c6, knight d2 check, king e1. Now this is actually a mistake because, king e1, then there's actually knight e4. What's better here is actually just to go up with king e2 because now knight e4 you can just go up with the king e3, attack the knight. Why not go one move further into the center of the board? But again, with no time on the clock, both sides are just blitzing out every move with little time to think. Knight e4, rook c4, knight c3. This is actually a mistake. Not a big mistake, but the most accurate way here to win is to go knight c5. Just go, put this knight on this really solid square and then go, move the king towards the center. And it should be really easy to win. Knight c3 was played, however, and after a3, another mistake. Again, both sides are just under time pressure, so anything can happen. They're playing really crazy moves. And let's see. a3, b5, rook c6, a5. Black can now start pushing the pawns on the queen side and push out, create a outside pass pawn. Once if black creates a outside pass pawn, then this means that black is one step closer to winning. So white needs to stop that, but it's not that easy to do. King h7, first of all, running away from this pin, freeing this f6 bishop. Rook c5, b4. Now this is actually a big blunder here. What Arjun should have just played is just king g6 to defend the h5 pawn, and then go for b4. But I guess he is just a little bit too, everything is happening too fast, so there's no time to think. And here, but after takes, here actually already white is able to hold the draw. But again, under time pressure, only 1 minute left on the clock with no increment at all. This is turning into bullet chess online. A takes b4. Here, I think in a classical game, Maxime will definitely find a way to draw this game. But, this is just, with no increment at all. In a must-win situation. But you're, worse. You're definitely, here, Maxime is in a must-win situation. But he is clear that he is worse. And under a lot of pressure, he missed the opportunity to draw the game. King d2, king g6, go up with the king d3, knight d1. This is actually a mistake. Here, after knight a4, black will still probably have some winning chances after, for example, rook a5. Now just go, for example, knight b2, and here knight c4. Now this will be winning for black. But things are just happening too fast, and after knight d1, rook b5, bishop c3, defending the pawn, king e2, knight b2, g4, offering a trade of pawns on the king side. This is still a draw, but what is happening? Takes. Here, white finally blundered with king f3. This is the losing move because after, here, actually, you can just go king d3. There's no reason not to draw this game. This is just a very easy draw to make. But again, Maxime cannot allow a draw. He cannot draw this game. He must win. But already in this position, he knows that he has no chances of winning at all. His time is even now less, he only has 1 minute left on the clock, even 4 minutes lower than Arjun's time. So he gave up after king f3, b3, king e4, and knight d6 because now he is even losing the rook. All right. After 96 year, Maxime Vachier-Lagrave resigned the game, and this means that Arjun Erigaisi won this game as well as the 2024 WRTS Masters Cup. What a win by him. And this also shows that how strong like Indian players are, because you can see that in this year, like in the 2024, Indian players like Arjun, Gukesh, Vidit, Pragnananda, they have all been playing really good chess. Like they played really well in all like many tournaments. Yeah, what can I say? Just Indian players are just way too strong, too many strong players, and they're just too strong. And but the only unfortunate thing is that Arjun didn't reach 2800, but it doesn't matter. I think he will reach 2800 in the next tournament. So wish him good luck. And I think if he had played in the candidates, he can even I think he has the skill, like the ability to become World Chess Champion one day. Alright, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and please subscribe. I'll see you in the next video. Bye!